Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the listening public, the wonderful people here in Nevis, those in St. Kitts, and those in the wider Caribbean. I'm Mark Brantley, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. Good evening to all of our friends and family in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, wherever you are. Welcome to the show. To our online viewers, those on YouTube or those on our Facebook page, to those listening on radio at 860 AM, to those who are logged on to the website, www.vonradio.com, welcome to one and all. This show promises to be an interesting show. We are, of course, just a matter now of 2 short weeks or so away from an election. August 5th has been set as election date. We are calling it Freedom Day because for so long our country has been held hostage since, of course, the outgoing Prime Minister, as I like to call him, the former Prime Minister, lost the support of the elected majority. He has been clinging on and clinging on. On the 10th of May, he would have taken the decision to dissolve the parliament in order to avoid a motion of no confidence. A result that resulted from his own inability and unwillingness to compromise. And so here we are. He would have dissolved on the 10th under the Constitution. There would have been a 90-day period in which he could call the election. We know that he was not ready. We knew that he never really had a plan. And this was all arrogance and hubris, ego at work, because his people around him kept telling him he was the top dog, even though he knew that he was but a little chihuahua. And as a result, we now have a situation where he took the decision to bring the government to an end. Under his hand, his instructions to the Governor General, and under his hand purported to remove 6, that is the elected majority, from the cabinet. He has therefore been running the country for the last 3 months with what I call a kangaroo cabinet. 3 elected members and 2 that nobody voted for. Now, what is interesting is that he had 90 days within which to call an election. And just demonstrating even more the disdain for which Timothy Harris holds the people of Nevis, he has decided to call the election now in the heart of Culturama. And I feel that that is worthy of mention. He had nearly all of May, because when he dissolved from the 10th of May, the clock started to go. He had the music festival period, he didn't call it then. He had after the music fest and into the middle of July, he didn't call it then. He waited and waited. And so we now have election activities in the heart of Culturama, competing with Culturama shows, competing with a time, of course, when our people come out to express themselves and to enjoy all that Nevis has to offer in terms of their culture. This, of course, was calculated. This, of course, is further evidence of the behavior of this man called Timothy Harris. I have said on the campaign trail that I do not propose to spend too much time on him because he's the past. But there's a clip here that I believe that we ought to play, because I want it in the record of On the Mark what this man who is masquerading as a prime minister has said in public. This is no secret tape. In public. Because just as he has set the election in the heart of the Culturama, so too he has made these public comments. Can we play that tape for the record?
Mark can run this country, but Mark has no love for St. Kitts. The only thing he loves in St. Kitts is our money. That's all they want, to use us.
Yeah. Every dollar that I paid out the treasury to go up there is $1 less you have down there.
Yeah. Every $1 million I gave him that was unbudgeted means $1 million less for the people of St. Kitts.
Just do me a favor and see if you can cue up that clip again, because I think it needs to be heard twice. Here's Timothy Harris speaking publicly, coming at me because I appear to be his major target. That's all right, because you know old people in Nevis say you don't ever stone an empty mango tree, so that's all right. But the comment I think every Nevision at home and abroad needs to hear, because he said that all we want St. Kitts for is its money. We Many divisions want to use St. Kitts. Every dollar that comes to Nevis is a dollar less for St. Kitts. Every $1 million that Nevis gets is $1 million less for the people of St. Kitts. Now this is supposed to be the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. Not only that, the money that he's talking about is not tax money, because we have said we don't want any tax money from St. Kitts. The money is the flows from the Citizenship by Investment Program, where we know from our own research that from 2008 until 2021, some $5.3 billion came to Bastille, of which the people of Nevis got 400 million, or a paltry 7%. 93% was kept in St. Kitts. And when we said this was not fair, this was not what was committed to, this is not what we signed up for, this has been the response of Timothy Harris. Let me play it again.
Mark can run this country, for Mark has no love for St. Kitts. The only thing he loves in St. Kitts is our money. That's all they want, to use us.
Every dollar that I take out the treasury to go up there is $1 less you have down there.
Every $1 million I gave him that was unbudgeted means $1 million less for the people of St. Kitts.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. And here's my concern. As I said, Timothy Harris is the past. He knows it. We all know it. He has no pathway to ever be back in Church Street as the Prime Minister of this country. But I am concerned that the NRP in Nevis has aligned itself with the PLP and with Timothy Harris. They have not said so publicly, but we are not foolish. We know where the financing is coming from. Matter of fact, they now have a consultant from Barbados walking around with them. They were in Bath Village recently, and that consultant has been loaned to them by the PLP in St. Kitts. So we understand what is going on. We know that the money has come over. We know that the agents of the PLP, who up to recently as today were in Nevis, offering people money to support the NRP. So this is not news to us. And I want the people of Nevis, as we campaign in these final days, and ask for the people of Nevis to support a team that they have confidence in that can go to Bastille and represent them. I want for us to consider which self-respecting patriot of Nevis will sign on to any relationship with somebody who has now shown their true colors as being anti-Nevis. Timothy Harris used to come to Nevis and boast that his father is from Cotton Ground. I am doubtful that any person with Nevisian blood could behave in such a way to the people of Nevis. We want to use St. Kitts. The only thing we want St. Kitts for is their money. And every dollar he claims that comes here is $1 less to the people of St. Kitts. That is clearly absurd. It is ridiculous. And that is the sentiment and the expression of this gentleman who continues to masquerade as Prime Minister. Thank God August 5th is Freedom Day, and we will put him out of his misery on Freedom Day and give the country an opportunity to breathe again. I said I'm not going to spend too much time, and I've spent 11 minutes. That is far too long on the past. So we're going to go and look forward. And the CCM is running a very exciting campaign. But part of that campaign is having a discussion about leadership. And leadership is important because when we say that the CCM team has represented the people of Nevis in Bastille in a stellar way, when we look at what the Honorable Eric Evelyn has been able to do in such a short space of time, the way he represented us on the global stage in Glasgow, at the conference of the parties, the climate change conference. When we look at what Alexis Jeffers has done in agriculture, he has been a breath of fresh air, even introducing innovations such as the night market that we had pioneered here in Nevis, using technology, shade house technology. You have in the Bayford Farms, which was left for dead, Foy's left for dead. All of those have been revived in less than 2 years during a COVID pandemic by Alexis Jeffers. His own performance in Nevis has been stellar. Housing, construction. Just look at the Newcastle Police and Fire Station. Look at the water taxi pier. Look at the kitchen up at jail piers. Look at the housing developments. Garners, Maddens, Rices, Craddock Road, Hamilton, Nisbet. Right down there by me, just above Cherry Gardens. And we are looking to do more. Look at the lands that he has been able to acquire for the people of Nevis. Right over there, in that place called Herbert's Beach. Lands there were supposed to be bought by one Ann Bass. And Alexis stepped in and acquired those lands for the benefit of the people of Nevis and future generations. Land up at Garners that we are now seeking to finalize the acquisition again for the benefit of our people and for future generations. When you look at me and my performance in St. Kitts, many may accuse me of many things, but one thing they will never be able to accuse me of: I have always stood up for the people of Nevis and always stood firm. I remember when Timothy Harris had this plan to disenfranchise the overseas voters, to say they did not want them to vote in any election in this country because they favored Douglas. I stood and said no, that those people, they have a stringberry here and they have a say and ought to have a say in this, the island and the country of their birth. And now I hear everybody booking flights for people to come home to vote. And incidentally, let me put on record that the CCM has written to the Attorney General indicating to him that we are concerned that the entry protocols still in place, even though everybody else is putting COVID in the rearview mirror. That we continue to hold on to these protocols where if you're traveling into St. Kitts or Nevis, you need to get permission before you can get on the plane. And if that permission doesn't come, you can't travel. Just today, a young lady contacted me, says she's stranded with 2 children in Antigua because she could not get the permission in time when the plane left her. She now has to wait for 2 days in Antigua. And you seek to pause and imagine what would be the situation if somebody with malicious intent, somebody who is manning the system on behalf of Timothy Harris, were to say, let us exclude PAM and CCM people and Labour people from coming in. Let us only allow the NRP and the PLP voters to come in. And the rest of them miss their flight. And they say, oh, 2-3 days, they can't get another flight, they miss the election. And that is why we wrote, because if it takes going under the clock, then that is where we will go. Because nobody going to thief no election here. And you cannot use COVID as a cover. COVID as a cover when we have the highest vaccination rate in the region. We have the best managed COVID situation in the region. And yet other countries, Grenada and all of them, open have done away with this foolishness. We continue with it. Tonight on my way here, a friend who's coming in sent me something. They said it is the most archaic entry process that they've seen. And I supported it, don't get me wrong, when it was necessary. But when I see the thousands that were at music festival, everybody a wine pan everybody. We saw the thousands that were at Wet Fet, they tell me over 4,000. The thousands who are down at Tropics and all the other fets that we've been having across the country. You ask the question, why do people still need permission to enter the country? Because we are managing COVID. And I'm not suggesting that we somehow abandon everything, because I still encourage people to go out and get vaccinated. But let's be real. This can be manipulated to affect the election. And that is why we're standing full score and full square with our people. There was another time in this country when the NRP sought to manufacture a win by removing people from the voters list. Well, this is a very now elaborate way that they can remove people from the list simply by denying them that entry. You know how easy it is to say, oh, the computer crashed, oh, there was a delay, and then American gone, Delta gone, and the people stuck. And I'm saying if that happens, I'm sounding warning you, because we've already written, if that happens, then we will be the force to go to the court to challenge these protocols, which have nothing to do with health anymore. These protocols are about politics now, have nothing to do with health. And I think we need to make that case. We have all night with you tonight until at least 10. And I'm sure if we ask for a little more time, we'll get it. I have two people here with me, but I'm going to ask them to hold for a minute so I could say something more. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a political season, and all of us know that. And the NRP has emerged with a new leader, Dr. Janice Hodge. And she has come on the scene, and a woman leading a team. And we have been respectful to Janice Hodge as a leader of NRP. You have not heard me once gone anywhere to ridicule. We have been respectful. But the old people have a saying, they say, don't trouble trouble. Because if you trouble trouble, trouble might trouble you. And I was astonished at the fabrication of a story against my friend, brother, and colleague in our cabinet, Spencer Brand. To say that Spencer Brand is somehow corrupt because Spencer and his wife bought a piece of land way back in 2008. Developed a plan for their land on which they got approval in 2014 under Vance Amory of blessed memory. And then under the same Timothy Harris in St. Kitts in 2015. Spencer never got into the government until December of 2017. Yet, the mere fact that he had a project in his private life is now being said to be corrupt. And I said, well, that is interesting. Because Dr. Hodge, Janice Hodge, came back to Nevis over 20 years ago. She led a quiet life. Nobody saw her anywhere. In fact, not even the neighbors know her. You talk to people in St. James, they ask you, who's Janice? They don't know her because that is the life she led. Some say when she says she sees nothing happening in Nevis, they could understand. Because like Rip Van Winkle, she was asleep for 20 years. When you sleep for 20 years, you wake up, you suddenly start to ask, what keep? Because you don't know. And I have a clip here, you see, because at the launch of Janice Hodge, as a candidate and as leader of NRP, she said something I thought was interesting. You're going to hear two voices on this clip. You're going to hear Janice Hodge, and then after that, you're going to hear another voice. That is the voice of a man called Governor John DeYoung, former governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Can you play that tape for me, please, of Janice Hodge in her own words?
I was in charge of a program, as you would have heard. Many contracts for various projects originated from my desk. At the peak of my career, my father became ill, and I resigned my position, a very lucrative position, to return to Nevis. But before I resigned, and while I was in Nevis, there was a full-blown investigation in the department where I worked. As the investigation continued, multiple members of the team that I worked with were convicted, something that they call white-collar crime.
Janice at that time was in charge of our federal program called Coastal Zone Management. She handled the staffing, she handled the funding, and she handled the development activities. Unfortunately, she had to leave us.
Now, I'm going to ask you, I know I'm using you as a DJ tonight, and you're really, my sidekick on the show. But I want you to cue that up again, because I think it's an important clip. It's only a few seconds. I want the people of Nevis and St. Kitts and the wider world to listen again. This is the leader of the NRP speaking at her launch.
I was in charge of a program, as you would have heard. Many contracts for various projects originated from my desk. At the peak of my career, my father became ill, and I resigned my position, a very lucrative position, to return to Nevis. But before I resigned, and while I was in Nevis, there was a full-blown investigation in the department where I worked. As the investigation continued, multiple members of the team that I worked with were convicted, something that they call white-collar crime.
Janice at that time was in charge of our federal program called Coastal Zone Management. She handled the staffing, she handled the funding, and she handled the development activities. Unfortunately, she had to leave us.
No, ladies and gentlemen, that is not Mark Brantley or CCM speaking. That is the leader of NRP speaking for herself. What does she disclose to the Nivision people? That she was at the height of a very lucrative career, her language. And while she was still in charge of this coastal zone management, she said there was a full-blown investigation and multiple members of her team were convicted. She called it white-collar crime. That's a nice way of saying corruption, or as we would say in Brown Hill, thieving. Multiple members, not the language. Now, we have said in the CCM, if you want to have a discussion about corruption, then let us have that discussion. Because I want to understand what happened in the U.S. Virgin Islands and how it is that any leader of a team could have multiple members of the team convicted for thieving, and they don't think that they should give a full explanation to the people of Nevis. Now, I've heard a lot of things on social media. Some talk about smear campaign and attacking people's character. No, when you're in public life, questions will be asked of you. And if Spencer Brand is to be asked questions of what he did in his private life, then certainly the leader of NRP, who's asking people to repose trust and confidence in her, should be asked, well, how come so many people that you worked with, when you headed, as you say, at the height of a lucrative career, the Coastal Zone Management Unit in the U.S. Virgin Islands, so much of them went to jail? That is a question that up to now we can't get an answer for. But you know me, I'm very good at research. And I have an army of people who are seeking to assist me. And so we started to dig. And I have here in my hand a document, a special investigative report done by the Virgin Islands Daily News, going back to 2005. And it is called Contracts and Cronies. It is done by Tim Fields and Megan Poinski, Daily News staff. Let me read some bits for you. 2 years ago, the Virgin Islands government gave a $650,000 contract to a company with no qualifications to do the work, rejecting two other bidders that not only were qualified but also would have subcontracted some of the work to the University of the Virgin Islands. The government chose to give the contract to Elite Technical Services, even though the company had not done the project it claimed to have had done, had never employed people it claimed were its key personnel. In fact, some of those people had never even heard of the company. The company listed false Virgin Island addresses, had stateside principals, and subcontracted 100% of the project in violation of Virgin Islands law. Today, a year after the project deadline, Elite has not completed the work. Yet the Virgin Islands Department of Planning and Natural Resources has paid Elite $324,500 and has made no attempt to get the money back. DPNR, that is the Department of Planning and Natural Resources, has a track record of favoring Elite and companies with close connections to Elite. Over the last 4 years, the VI government has awarded Elite $827,980 in contracts and paid it $501,972, even though the territory has received only a fraction of what it was supposed to get for that money. Now, you may say, well, who is this Elite and what is this Elite all about? So let me go further. Elite has received green lights. This is the same investigative report. Elite has received green lights from the VI government all along the way, starting with the Contract Selection Committee. Note that language. I'll come back to it. The Contract Selection Committee, which chose Elite without checking the company's resume. The committee overlooked a number of serious problems. Elite claimed that it had done major projects that it had not done, and that were the work of others. Elite listed key personnel with technical experience who lived and worked in Atlanta, were employed by other firms, had no connection to Elite, and had no knowledge of Elite's existence. Elite had no local physical address in the VI. Elite's address listed on its resume and contract proposal was a mail and telephone answering service in Crown Bay, St. Thomas. Elite did not have a VI business license to perform the work the contract required. Government officials say they are at a loss to explain how Elite's shortcomings escaped notice. Now, the process in the BVI to get a contract was interesting because they went out to bids and then there was a selection committee that had to determine who win the contract. Incidentally, and you all may find this funny, Elite vice president was a man called Mr. Brewley, Earl Brewley. They say Mr. Brewley, while he was listed as the vice president of this big company called Elite, was really a fireman and a taxi man. And so they say when they went, hear this, a Daily News reporter sought to interview Elite Vice President Earl Brewley on December 29, 2004 at the 22 fire station. As soon as the reporter identified herself, Brewley said, "I don't know anything," and left the building. He jumped down off a 3-foot concrete embankment, ran to his taxi van, parked at a nearby gas station, and sped away. That was the vice president of this Elite. Now, where am I going with this? What experience did Elite claim? The article continues. As with the professionals, Elite said, with its key personnel, the projects Elite said it had done were an ideal match for the GIS project. And as with the resumes, the government would have found that Elite misrepresented its project experience if the government had bothered to check. How did Elite get the contract? Here's where the thing gets interesting now. In November 2001, a VI Property Procurement Selection Committee met to evaluate GIS mapping proposals from 3 firms. One is called Gee and Jensen, one is called Maguire Group, and the third one is called Elite Technical Services. The committee comprised, Nivisions, I listener, the committee comprised Nicole Roberts and Sal Griffith of Property and Procurement, and Kurtzen Peters and Janice Hodge of the DPNR. Hodge was director of DPNR's Coastal Zone Management Division. This was the committee that looked at the 3 bids and therefore had the responsibility to vet them to ensure that they awarded the Virgin Islands money properly. The committee rated each company based on its proposal and qualifications, responsiveness and dedication, experience and completion time for contract documents according to the official rating sheets. Based on the scores that the committee members gave, the committee determined Elite was the most capable company overall. Members of the committee told the Daily News that they do not recall checking Elite's credentials. Had the committee checked the company's claims, it could have found that Elite had listed phantom staff and claimed experience it did not have. Phantom and them, they're big word. In the English we say jumbie. Jumbie staff, that means he didn't have the staff. Hodge, who has left CZM, Janice Hodge, who has left CZM and now lives on Nevis, Lord, poor Nevis name getting the report, told the Daily News last week that she did not question Elite's claims because Elite already had done work for other DPNR offices. The determination was based on the proposal submitted, she said. She acknowledged that she did not question Elite representatives about their qualifications. Hodge said she did not question Brewley's qualification. You remember telling the fireman and taxi man? She did not question Brewley's qualification to be vice president of a highly specialized engineering firm because she did not know that his occupations were firefighter and taxi driver. Poor Janice tell the newspaper, "I didn't know anything about him." How did Elite get its payments? Elite was required, I'm reading again from the report, Elite failed to fulfill its contract obligations from the start. But time and time again, the VI government gave the company new deadlines. Elite was required to submit monthly reports to the Coastal Zone Management Division. That was the division headed by Janice Hodge. But it did not submit its first report until 7 months into the contract. It was supposed to submit reports monthly. Did not submit its first until 7 months. According to the DPNR documents, on July 11, 2003, Coastal Zone Management Director Janice Hodge, who had been on the committee that selected Elite, approved a second $162,250 payment to Elite, despite her own staff's review, scathing review of the progress report. So her own staff tell her Elite is not doing the job. She was part of the selection committee that selected Elite. And in the face of Elite breaching the contract and not doing its job, she, according to this article, on July 11, 2003, would have approved a second tranche of $162,250 despite her staff's scathing review of the progress report. When we look at the timeline of events, Janice Hodge was involved in the process, and she was part of the selection of this bogus company, Elite. She authorized payment to Elite even when Elite was clearly not performing. And the document is a 20-page document. It's an extensive report. I have gone through it, and I am looking at what happened in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Now, you had some people called whistleblowers. These are people who work for the government and who see wrong and come out and squeal, as we would say locally. One such whistleblower was a lady called Julietta Dillon. Julietta Dillon was fired, and Julietta Dillon said no, she's going to sue them for wrongful dismissal because she was fired because she blew the whistle. So I'm looking at part of this investigative report, January 14th, 2005. And here what it says. Dillon lawsuit, this is reading from the article. Dillon's lawsuit states that she recommended to the outgoing CZM director Janice Hodge that the contract with Elite be rescinded or terminated. However, Hodge, who officially resigned from DPNR on December 31st, 2003, but was on leave beginning in September 2003, did not cancel the contract. And when the lady blew the whistle and said Elite is bogus and all that is happening, they fired the lady. And that is why the lady sued the VI government. Now, I am asking the people of Nevis, in light of all of this, don't we deserve some type of explanation? Now, Janice Hodge has come to us. Hear what she said. Oh, I did nothing wrong. And in any event, Governor DeYoung endorses me, and Governor DeYoung said that he wanted me to come back. And the people of Nevis are being asked to accept Governor DeYoung's endorsement as an exoneration and a sufficient explanation that Janice Hodge has nothing further to say on the matter. And so we say, well, who is this Governor DeYoung? Because you all heard in the clip that was played, Governor DeYoung was a big endorsement at the launch of Janice. So I Google Governor DeYoung, and as the old nigger would say, me go to great God. When I Google the man, I see something here. John DeYoung, the former governor of the Virgin Islands. This is CMC, Caribbean Media Corporation. John DeYoung, the former governor of U.S. Virgin Islands, has been arrested on 2 felony counts of alleged financial impropriety. On Tuesday, Claude Walker, the nominee for the post of Attorney General, announced that DeYoung was arrested by U.S. VI authorities on charges of embezzling public funds and failing to use public funds for the intended purpose. Now, these things here frightening to me because of all the billions of people in the world that Janice could get to endorse her. Janice got DeYoung. And they up and down all over social media say, look, the former governor say she good. What is the problem? But DeYoung was arrested and charged, and again embezzlement is a big word. In Brownhill up the hill, we would say thieving. That's all it means, you know, thieving. Now, I look at this document, and the VI Consortium, which is a newspaper in the Virgin Islands, and talking about a headline, Governor John P. DeYoung arrested by DOJ, Department of Justice officials. It says here something I think is instructive. The arrest, and I quote, the arrest follows the unsealing of federal documents by the Virgin Islands Consortium that revealed DeYoung's involvement in a deeply weaved government corruption culture that has plagued the territory from one administration to the next. Walker, that is the Attorney General, said that on or about April 2007 through January 2009, both men, that is DeYoung and another guy, being in public office, acted in concert in the process of conversion in public monies for private use, and executed several government contracts to convert $490,000 of Virgin Islands government highway funds to fund improvements to the private residence of Governor DeYoung without authority of law. That is what and who Janice bring to endorse her. Governor DeYoung, I have a further headline here. They say Department of Justice drops the charges against former Governor DeYoung. But guess what the article says about that? It says the settlement came at a high cost for Mr. DeYoung, as he had to pay the government of the Virgin Islands some $380,000 to settle the dispute, which is $170,000 more than he initially agreed to reimburse. So, DeYoung, who Janice and NRP is telling us, is the man who exonerates her and has endorsed her publicly, was arrested and charged for embezzlement in the same Virgin Islands, and only got off the hook after he agreed to pay back $380,000 of VI tax money. And we, the people of Nevis, must not supposed to ask a question. We're not supposed to say, well, if you want the people of number 11, the people of St. James and St. Thomas's to elect you, you must come and tell the people what happened in the Virgin Islands. Because I find this all remarkable, that as all of this is happening, this cesspool of corruption is being investigated. Janice fly away to Nevis. Janice flew away to Nevis. You remember they had a boy in St. Kitts, the supervisor, and call him the parrot? And they say when the heat get hot, the parrot fly the cage. Janice flew away to Nevis. And in her own statement, while she was in Nevis, is when the investigation now they're carrying on. Now you would imagine if I'm the leader of an organization. I said so the other night, if I'm a manager at Four Seasons and in my department, Tutmun Saman Bagay, thiefing, things gone missing, sheet gone missing, towel gone missing. Well, you ain't think that the management of Four Seasons going to say to me, Mr. Brantley, they're under you, no? It's under your watch. So it can't be enough of me to say, I didn't do the thieving. If it happens under your watch, you must explain what happened. That is what leadership calls for, and that is why I say it's a question of leadership. And so this running and dodging and hiding and saying, oh, you're all attacking me. No, it's not a question of attacking, it's a question of asking the questions. Because I believe in most places in the world, if your name is in some article about contracts and cronies, an investigative report where you were part of a committee that selected basically a fake company, and notwithstanding the reports of your own staff, you still approve more money to that fake company. And nobody must ask the question. And I'm saying, no, that is not the way the thing works. I have been accused of things I know nothing about. Made up stories, we're not making anything up here. She is the one who said that she was head of this organization, and to use her words, multiple members were convicted. Now, I don't know anybody who leaves, as she says, a lucrative position at the height of her career and just take flight back to Nevis. And then, as we see in the documents, she would have separated formally in December of 2003. No explanation. What did you know? How did you know? We had to go through all of this research to try and find something. And so it will be for the people. But I decided I would take the time because I wanted to put these things on the table. And to say to the people, imagine that Governor DeYoung is who Janice bring. I could stand up proud and say I was endorsed by Sir Simeon Daniel, our national hero. I could say that. Janice is saying to the people is, I was endorsed by Governor DeYoung when Governor DeYoung was charged with 2 counts of embezzlement. So he took up taxpayers' money to fix up his private residence and was only able to get out of that by paying back some $380,000. Is that who the leader of NRP should be holding out to Nevisians? As somebody who's vouching for her? That is the concern that I have. And when I look at this, when it talks about, in the VI consortium, it talks about a culture. I thought that was interesting in the language that it used. Right? A deeply weaved government corruption culture that has plagued the territory of the U.S. Virgin Islands from one administration to the next. Put differently, it's how they did business in the VI. And with all of this, you are at the center of what is happening as the head of an organization. And you have refused to come to the people of Nevis and tell us what the position is. People are out there talking about attack and all of that. I am not even going to engage in that. Because this is politics. This is about trust. This is about leadership. This is about asking people to put their trust and confidence in you. And if you can't tell people what happened in the VI. And I said, you know, this might explain a lot, you know, because I tell you, Janice was like Rip Van Winkle here in Nevis. Quiet as a lamb, you don't see her, you don't hear her. Nobody knows her. All of a sudden, and we know how that came about too. Before this election is over, we'll hear how Janice became the leader of NRP. Bypassing people like Cleon and others who had been there putting in the work. What them boys say? Kitty cat. Kitty cat. And become the leader of NRP. And all of a sudden now has an opinion on everything. Knows all about good governance. And attacking decent, hard-working people. And alleging that they are corrupt. When that is what happened during the time that she was head of a department in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And they're telling me I mustn't ask the questions. Nevisians mustn't ask the question. When she come to your house and knock on your door and ask you to vote, ask her, tell her what happened to VI. We want to know why you fly and come back and Nevis like the parrot. Tell us what happened in VI. Because it's important for us to know. Ladies and gentlemen, this quarter to the hour. I've taken up 45 minutes. I wanted to put those issues on the table. We have some real good music. CCM campaign is in full mode, and I have here with me tonight my brothers and the candidates in this election. The Honorable Mayor of Gingerland, the man from number 10, the Honorable Eric Rohan Evelyn is here, and I have with me the man for number 11, the great parishes of St. Thomas and St. James, none other than the Deputy Leader of the Concerned Citizens Movement, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. Brothers, gentlemen, welcome to On The Mark. I know you've been sitting for a long time listening to me, but I needed to get the information out, and I now turn the show over to you.
We can sit here listening all night, Premier Brantley. But it's good to be here. Let me say good night to the entire listening public, home and abroad. And it's always good to come to the microphones of One Radio and speak to the people of Nevis, the Federation, and beyond. Premier Brantley, yes, we are in the height of an election campaign, yes. And of course, we are also celebrating our 48th anniversary of Culturama. But the two would have to mix, and we'll have to marry them and make sure that we can get our message out during this campaign and also still have fun and socialize and enjoy the company of our local residents and visitors when they do come. But indeed, we have been having a good time on the campaign trail. We were late this evening, and we want to apologize to you, but we were canvassing up there in Westbury, Clifton Estate and Catesby area, and we came off the canvassing trail late, but we're here, and it's indeed a pleasure to be here this evening. As we go along, we'll develop some discussions, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you very much, Alexis, and thank you, Mark. I want to say good night to all of the folks who are in tune to the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, and it's always a pleasure to be here at Von Radio. And of course, as Alexis mentioned, we've been having some good fun on the campaign trail. And as I mentioned up in Fountain last night, that since the date has been announced, I think I'm feeling even more energized. And so we are feeling energized. It's getting more exciting. Our Big Blue Machine has rolled out, and of course our supporters are coming out. Now, Alexis and Mark, I think our supporters only wanted to hear the date. And I think everybody is energized now, and the campaign is running wonderfully. I really want to say thanks to all of the great people who have been receiving us so well. The reception has been overwhelming. In our walkthroughs we have gone through numerous communities on the island. I want to assure persons that unfortunately we cannot touch all of the communities. We are just touching a sample, and the reception has really been good. And so we want to thank all the persons who have been receiving us so well, and we are very confident that we are onto something good here on the island of Nevis. I want to say good night to all of the folks who are listening overseas. We know we have a lot of listeners overseas. This is a show that everybody listens to, and the world stops on a Wednesday night to ensure that they are tuned in to On The Mark. As Alexis rightly pointed out, we are into a campaign, and we are also into the celebrations of Culturama 48, and that makes it even more difficult for me, because I'm the Minister of Culture, and I'm getting calls every day, every second of the day with regards to things about Culturama, but we still have a campaign to run. And so it's getting exciting for Culturama, it's getting exciting for the campaign, but your team, Mark, Alexis, and myself, we are ready, and we are just waiting for August 5th to come, and we are waiting so that we can continue to represent the people of Nevis, to represent the interest of the island of Nevis at the federal level. And so good night once again to everyone, and we trust that everyone has had a wonderful day so far, and it's a pleasure once again to be here at Broad Radio on The Mark with my colleagues Mark and Alexis.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and always a pleasure to have you. We're going to have this show. I think we have another show before the election, God willing.
Yes.
And we will be here together, because I think the people of Nevis need to understand that the CCM is one team. They say one team, one dream.
Yes.
Something of that nature I've seen. One team. We are together. We are rock solid. There is no difference here. We are together, shoulder to shoulder, standing for the people of Nevis. I'm happy you spoke of the campaign, Eric, because the thing is heating up.
Oh, yes.
It is heating up, and I believe that we are seeing now out there our people coming out. I was really happy in Fountain, because we know how CCM operates, and we know that once that bell was rung, that's what people were waiting for. People were home listening, they're now energized, and they will be coming out. Worse yet, the blue things them reach. So they have their campaign materials now. I see them say they have watches, they have whistles, they have water bottles, they have hand sanitizer, they have shirts, they have bags, shopping bags, they have, oh my goodness gracious, people are overjoyed. I went around today and touching some people as I drove around, handing out some packages, and I'm getting requests from far and wide. Even people from St. Kitts are saying, Lord, we package. And so it's interesting. I want to thank the number of volunteers. We had an army of volunteers that showed up at Caribbean Cove to package out stuff. And we sent them into the various constituencies. I'm sure, Eric, your people are handing out yours. Alexis, your people are handing out yours. But part of the campaign and the excitement is music. And this is Culturama too.
Of course.
And so, guess what? We are going to have, for Juve morning, for Juve morning, CCM is going to have a band. And the only requirement we are asking you, wear something blue. It could even be a blue rag in your hand. Have something blue. And if you have something blue, you get the drinks then. Right? We know other troops are going to be on the road, but we are going to be out in force, and we're asking the CCM to come out in force on the long jam. And we got good music too, you know. Madam DJ, you're the DJ for the night. We have a song there, a mix. I want to play that mix now, because the place need to get a little jiggy. And this is a collaboration of all the soca artists, the top soca artists in Nevis, I was told. the young people collaborated on this song for the CCM. And Eric Evelyn, as the Minister of Culture, I want this song entered for Soca Monarch, and I want it entered for Juve. Let us hear this song.
Increase the momentum.
Like the big blue machine.
Increase the momentum. Increase the momentum.
CCM, tell them we can't clear. We can't clear. When the big blue machine touch on the scene, we can't clear. We can't clear. Show me your 14 finger. Your 14 finger. Show me your 14 finger. Put them up, put them up, put them up. Show me your 14 finger. Show me your 14 finger. Show me your 14 finger. Show them up in the air. CCM, CCM, tell them we can't clear.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's Road March
I believe so too.
2022. I mean, these youngsters have come together in an incredible collaboration. All local talent. All local talent. And when the lady said that old big block of salt, I mean, I had to laugh. Ladies and gentlemen, the CCM is rolling the Big Blue Machine. I tell you, when you come out the garage, it's going to be massive. Gentlemen, what do you think about this monster jam that we've just released here for the campaign?
It brings up memories of 2007 when we had that Run Mark Run. You remember that jingle?
Yes, oh yes.
That one had everybody running all over the place. Well, you say we're going in for this troop on Juve
Morning, of course,
So,
long jam.
When it's all said and done, this is the tune that is going to keep everybody running from Gingerland all the way down to Charlestown, yeah? So this is a good one for the campaign to come. At least we always bring some hype and some energy. And even though hype and energy is there, a serious business really.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah? But this one is really a classic. It's epic.
Why? I love it. I heard about it. And I've been waiting with bated breath because I heard about this song and somebody tell me, Eric, when you hear that song, trust me, you're gonna love it. And listen, I more than love this monster jam, Mark, man. They call me the dancing minister for style,
Well,
so I'm ready for that on the campaign trail.
I dance good when I'm sitting down. I was right here sitting down and dancing, I could tell you. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the CCM does. I think we use local talent. We bring something to you. This is a big, big song. It is a collaboration of some of the top soca artists in the Federation. And they have come together, did this collab. I want to thank Michael Manners, who put it all together for us. And, of course, the artists on this track. I think it covered the whole gamut of the big names in soca music here in the Federation. And I am entirely happy that they could produce a monster jam such as this. I see this having an effect. And I am officially inviting all of Nevis to come to our troop for Juve morning.
We're going to be the first day.
We're going to be all blue. I don't have my suit. Blue suit. And we will be jamming from Gingerland to town. Part of the Big Blue Machine. We're going to crank it up. And listen, if you could get this kind of music on the road, you know what kind of Juve we're going to have. We have had an election called in Culturama. Well, we're going to still
I hope you weren't able to come up further than Brown Hill Gap.
Yeah, you know what about me.
I'm not going to miss this opportunity, though, Premier. I'm not going to miss the opportunity to tell persons once they're done with the long jam straight to Hobart Beach.
Of course.
Because we're there from 12 noon until 12 midnight, and a lot of bands will be over there. So one of them might just practice this jingle,
of course,
and play it all night. We play it on the hi-fi.
And I'm not going to miss this opportunity either because, as I said, it's Culturama and politics mix up. It done so we have to go with it. On Saturday, this coming Saturday, my club, the Empire Sports Club, we are having our activity on the waterfront in Charlestown. It's the aquatic extravaganza that we've been having for the past years. We're going to be having swimming competition. We're going to be having diving competition. We're going to be having the exciting greasy pole. We're going to have music by DJ Wolf. We're going to have Grandmasters Band in the evening. And so we are looking forward for people to come on the waterfront this Saturday, the 23rd of July, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. So we're going to be there practically all day, almost all night. And so please, we're asking you to come out. We have a lot of swimming races this year. I'm getting some good help from James Weeks and persons who want to enter the swimming and the diving competitions. If you want to register in advance, you can contact James Weeks. And of course, you can come and register on the spot on Saturday. And so we are encouraging people to come out and have fun. Even though it's the political season, we're asking people to come out and have fun because Culturama has to go on. It's Culturama 48, and so we're asking people to come out in their numbers. Of course, tomorrow night we have the official opening of Culturama, and we also have the Junior Calypso competition. It's all happening at the Cultural Village from 7 o'clock. And so it's going to be an action-packed couple of days for Culturama from the 21st of July until the 2nd of August. But intertwined in that, the Big Blue Machine, we must take the message to the people. And so people will be seeing us. We're going to be continuing our walkthroughs. We're going to be continuing our meetings. Our meetings are going to be beginning a little earlier. And so you can have piece of everything. You can have piece of the meeting, you can have piece of us when we're doing the walkthrough, and we can still enjoy ourselves during Culturama. I know this is a time when many people would not get enough sleep, but after Culturama and after the 5th of August, you can sleep for a week. Not 20 years.
Not 20 years.
A week.
But let me ask you, Eric, how long you've been associated with these aquatic sports?
Well, the thing is, I've been associated with the Empire Sports Club for over 20 years as the president. The aquatic sports was absent for some time, and when they brought it back, I think they would have brought it back maybe about 7 years ago. Of course, it was absent for 2 years, so I think we would have had it for about 5 years running. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm exact with the years, but I think it's about 7 years ago they brought it back, and they offered it to my club. You know, of course, we know that our club has an excellent reputation. They offered it to us, we took it on, and it has been going exceptionally well. People really love that activity. The people, especially in the Bath Village area and the Hamilton area, Charleston area, normally come and have a lot of fun. And so we are inviting people to come out again this coming Saturday and have some fun. The major activities are going to start a little later because, of course, we know they have the funeral for Trevi on Saturday as well, and so some of us would want to show our faces there. But we're going to have some fun on Saturday. Please come out, and we're expecting to see a huge turnout there come Saturday. And we want you to support all of the activities. I think on Thursday we have the opening. Friday we have something called Culture Pot at the Cultural Complex. I think it's at the Cultural Complex. Then on Monday, I don't have the program in front of me, but we're having a lot of activities for Culturama, and we want you to support all of the activities, please.
Well, the reason why I asked you that question is to, clarify and also establish the fact that you are no Johnny come lately.
Not at all. Not at all, Alexis.
For a long time. Well, I'm going to say too, because Herbert Beach Affair, I've been associated with it since 2003 when I returned to Nevis. So I've been associated with it through all of the thick and thin and all the tumultuous years and all of the difficulties, the highs and the lows. I've been there since then until now. And this year we are hoping to have the Grandmasters, Small Axe Band, Casanova as well, band from your constituency.
And I assume we'll have Odyssey as well?
Well, that hasn't been confirmed as yet, but I'm just saying that these are what we have, because we've been planning this thing for months. We don't just come up one night and say we are having Herbert Beach. So from time to time we sit down and we plan and we get our act together, and some of these have been engaged for some time now. So we'll get to others once the finances are available. But the bottom line is we've always been there and have always brought something of substance to the people of St. James and by extension the island of Nevis, because Herbert Beach Affair is one of those activities that if a Culturama is held any year without that being a part of it, then you'll have an anticlimax to Culturama. This has always been the event that brings the entire island over to the north, and also the visitors who are here come over and have a good time. And it's going to be from 12 noon until 12 midnight. We should have some really good fun time over there.
And Mark, what this is showing, that you have two ministers here with metal. Because even though we have our ministerial portfolios and we're in government, we haven't abandoned what we normally do in the community.
That's right.
We haven't. And a lot of people sometimes ask me, Eric, where do you get the time? How can you still be involved with Empire Sports Club? How can you still be involved with Gingerama? But these are what I was involved with long before government.
Comes naturally.
I can't abandon them.
Comes naturally.
I absolutely can't. And Alexis, you can't abandon Herbert Beach either. So it shows, it comes back to the issue of people who have been involved in the community long before government, long before politics, and it also comes down to leadership as well.
Well, I quite agree, gentlemen, and it's almost surreal that we're here talking about the politics, because we have to take our message to the people. We've been knocking on doors. I want to publicly thank the various communities that have welcomed us, because as you said in your opening, Eric, the reception has been overwhelming.
Yes.
And we have been very, very privileged to knock on doors and talk to people. Some of the comments you get, one house we went to, and the person said, "Nobody come in here. This fish done
fry."
I go down the road, go look for somebody.
Go fry some more fish down there.
You know, and I thought it was interesting because it shows that people are satisfied with the government. People acknowledge, and I'm getting calls, and I'm sure you both are getting calls as well from people who are saying that it is the finest representation for the island of Nevis that they've ever seen.
Yes.
Where we are standing up against all comers. We are saying we don't care who you are. We're prepared to stand up for what is right for this island. And I continue to make the point that we could have all kept our mouths shut,
precisely,
collected a paycheck, because so many others in the past, that's what they would have done. And instead of that, we said, no, we prefer to forego whatever benefits and to stand up for the people of Nevis. And that is our commitment, and we have made that commitment. And we're looking forward. The programs such as the Peace Program, the STEP Program, the PAP Program, we have said that those programs, even in their rollout, have been unfair to the people of Nevis. But after August 5th, we'll have our own programs in Nevis, run by us, for us. And I've already asked Eric Evelyn to take charge of those programs when they come to Nevis. Because nobody in Bastia, with all due respect to our brothers and sisters over there, nobody in Bastia can sit down there and run a social intervention program in Nevis like Nevisians can, because we know the people. They don't know the people over here. And I would say equally, you can't stay in Charleston and run a social program where you know about Borio and Kian and Spooners. Huh? Where you know about Miss Mary up in Spooners. And that is the reality, and I think we need to start to accept these things. But you see, in that dispensation under Harris, it was all about power, control. We're saying no. Allow the NIA to run programs in Nevis for the benefit of the people of Nevis. And once we get what belongs to us, our fair share from this federation, I see no reason why we can't do that and continue to do that. And standing up and asking for what belongs to you does not make you greedy. It does not make you somebody who's disruptive. It says simply that you're standing up for what is right. And I don't understand that people who are grabbing 93% of the money are turning around and saying to divisions who are getting a paltry 7% that you're greedy for asking for what belongs to you. Under the Charleston Accord, Sink is supposed to get 75%, you know, and Nevis get 25%. You see the disparity?
Of course.
75% to 25%, and even that, we're being told that we're being greedy. And I'm saying no. No, and that is why on the 5th of August, that I have called Freedom Day, the people of our country will be asked to go to the polls, and anybody who is not standing up for Nevis, you cannot accept them. Reject them, because they're going around now pretending they're saying they're not aligned with anybody, but they are aligned. They're collecting money. And issues of character and leadership are outstanding that they don't want to speak to. I am telling you all, gentlemen, and to the public, that I, as the leader of CCM, and I know the CCM team, we're not going to stop until Janice Hodge comes to us and to the Nevisian people and explains herself about what happened in the U.S. Virgin Islands. She has to. And these days of thinking things are pushed under the rug, let me tell you something. They have something they call Google. And it's very hard to hide things now. And we search and search, because you're not searching for the right thing, you know. We search until somebody help me. And then I put a little team together and they start to unearth documents. And when I saw this document, you hear the document called? Let me read it again. It is called Contracts and Cronies. You know what a crony is? You know what a crony is? A crony is somebody, an inside deal kind of thing, somebody you're close to. A buddy that you do something for. Awarded contracts to a sham entity, NVI, $650,000 US. And we are not, this is what I keep getting back to. How is it right that they will say to Alexis, oh, you must explain this, and Eric, you must explain that? Right? They're asking us because we are in public life, and we must accept that that is the responsibility of anybody in public life, to make a clean breast of it. If you're wrong, sometimes you come out, you say, I'm wrong and I'm sorry.
Of course.
But you can't tell people they cannot ask when the evidence is there. The level of wrongdoing in the U.S. Virgin Islands, involving the coastal zone management, involving the Department of Planning and Natural, what they call DPNR, Natural Resources.
Well, you see, the thing is, Mark, when we place ourselves before the public to hold public office, we must be able to stand up to scrutiny. And I mean, I have said it over and over again on our platform that the three of us, we can stand because our hands are clean like a whistle, as we say locally, because they can't, no matter what anybody dig, they can't unearth any corruption scandal about any of us. I mean, I could recall when Alexis gave me the opportunity to be his permanent secretary, when I sat in the chair up at Prospect, and I think practically almost every meeting that I had, I remember the first meeting I had with the heads of departments, I told them boldly, as long as I sit in this chair, whether it's for a week, whether it's for a month, whether it's for a year, whether it's a couple of years, not one of you here, no anyone will be able to point one finger at me. And I think I was your PS for about 4 years, Alexis. And nobody could ever point a finger at me. I'm in government now, and I'm going to say it boldly again. Nobody is going to be able to point a finger at Eric Evelyn, and I think I can say it for the same for Mark and Alexis as well.
Well, you know, Brantley, we have been asking this lady to come clean. Come clean. Explain to us what have gone on in the Virgin Islands. And you know, we started this some time ago, and you know what they were saying? Oh, over time they'll stop talking about it. But this is not an issue that you can stop talking about. Because when you look at the newspapers and you see blazing on the front of the newspaper, investigation, or investigate Minister Brand. Okay, Brand made his statement, and he was very clear about what his situation was.
His timelines.
And he gave timeline, and he was very clear about that. And that is all we're asking for. I mean, you brought some evidence here which is very, very alarming. And I'm certain that any voter in Nevis 11, whether it's starting at the bottom of Zion Hill, coming all the way to Craddock Road, any voter in Nevis 11 must be asking questions of this lady. And I will continue, and you can continue, Eric, you can continue to ask her to explain to the Nevisian public. Because if you're aspiring to be the leader of this island, because that's what she's aspiring to be. Eventually, if things were to go a certain way, she should probably become the leader of Nevis someday, which we don't expect that to happen anyway. But that is what she's aspiring to. And if you're aspiring to be a leader, you must be able to demonstrate and have those characteristics that are consistent with someone who has integrity, who is decent about their dealings, and one who can stand up to scrutiny any day, any week, any month, and any year. And that is all we're asking of this lady, is to come clean, because even though you would have said what you said this evening, Premier Brantley, there may be very well be more that we are not seen as yet, we have not heard as yet, but we can only get the truth from the good lady herself. And I'll continue to ask the questions myself. Brantley, I want to commend you publicly on your leadership, and I've been doing that from time to time. And why I say that, earlier in the show you started and you indicated to the general public what the exploits of Minister Evelyn would have been in St. Kitts at the federal level. You spoke about myself, and we know exactly what you would have accomplished as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. But every time you speak, and you speak of your ministers, you're always clear about their accomplishment and have given us the accolades. You haven't taken anything for yourself. We'll heap some praises on you. But there are some who may want to question your leadership abilities and qualities. But I am sitting here behind these microphones here at Von Radio, and I can say to the entire world that you have demonstrated, since you have taken over the leadership of this party, that you are capable, and you have certainly led from the front, and you have not taken the credit, all of the credit for yourself, and say me, and I. You have given the credit where it's due, and I want to commend you for that, because that is what a leader should do. A leader should always give praises where they're due, because when it's all said and done, if you are the leader those around you performing and exhibiting the best qualities will be a reflection of you. And all of us who sit in cabinet with you, all of us who are in this great party of ours, whether they're in cabinet or not, have those qualities because they are a reflection of you. And we certainly would want to say to you that you have been a breath of fresh air for this great party. And some may have other things to say, but that is them. And a man's opinion is his opinion. A woman's opinion, it will be her opinion as well. But in my humble opinion, one who have known you for many years, many years, I can speak eloquently about your leadership qualities and abilities and the characteristics that you have displayed as the leader of this great party, and also the leadership in your own life and in your own profession. And so when you hear others with certain rhetoric coming from across the waters, simply because they want to deny us what is ours, they would find all kind of aspersions to cast across the waters here at you. But I know for sure, even in St. Kitts, and we know there are St. Kitts sisters and brothers who look towards you for leadership, who know what you are capable of, and we want to join with them in giving you praises. And I want to say that because when it's all said and done, you're a leader, and we have to lift you up as we go along. And where we are today, we couldn't have gotten here without the leadership that you have displayed. Because as you said before, and that is true, whatever we were being paid, a comfortable salary, yes, and we could have taken that. But when it's all said and done, after 5 years, this party might have been no more. This federation may not have been there as well, based on what we are seeing these days. But I know for sure we did the right thing. And when it's all said and done, history will have to judge the three of us, along with all of our colleagues who would have decided enough is enough. Let us chart a new course. Let us have a new beginning. And let us do what is necessary to rescue this federation and bring about the transformational growth that this federation can have. And I want to commend you in closing.
Well, Alexis, I want to add to you as well. I want to endorse all of what you would have said. And I've always said publicly that I'm exceptionally, very proud of Mark. Not because he's my family, but, you know, coming from such humble beginnings in Hanley's Road, where we call Henley Part. You know, Mark was born just a few stone throws away from me. And, you know, to see that he would have come from such humble beginnings, you know, I always tell people, pound for pound, flesh for flesh, Mark can stand up to any leader in the Caribbean. I don't see any leader in the Caribbean who can deliver themselves better than Mark can. He's eloquent, he's exceptionally bright, he has led with distinction not only the CCM party, but the island of Nevis. And the evidence is clear. We as a party, we always say we go with the evidence, and the evidence is there, irrespective of what people have to say. Because I know a lot of the haters, they only speak about Mark because they are jealous of the gentleman. It's all about hatred and jealousy and grudge. And that's plain and simple what it is. But Mark has led this country with distinction. You see how well we have come through this pandemic? You see the management of the island of Nevis through this pandemic? I mean, now that we've been doing the walkthroughs, and when we see the standard of living, what we see when we see all the improvements that have been happening across the length and breadth of this island of Nevis, all through the communities, the improvement in people's homes, people getting an opportunity to own a home, 5 and 6 cars parking up in one home. I mean, come on. And people are saying that Nevisians are not living a good standard of life. So, I mean, really and truly, Mark, I really have to commend you. You have done an outstanding job. And the good thing about you, as Alexis said, everything does not revolve around you. Any good leader, when they have members of their team that shine, you are never afraid to commend them and say that they are shining. Because as I always say, when the people in your team shine, it makes you look even better. And so you're an outstanding leader, role model, and I commend you very highly.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both. You have spent some time on me, and I am grateful. Let me just say that it has been my privilege to lead this team. I have always said that, there'll be a time for me to exit the stage and somebody else will lead, because that is the way that life goes. And I would like to know that during my time here on the stage, I would have given of my best. I suspect that part of my perspective on leadership comes from my own upbringing. And I had a conversation with someone recently, and I said to them that who I am today is a product of the assistance of many. I cannot forget the days when my mother gave me $1.25 because that was all she had to give. And that was to get me to school, get my lunch, and get back home. And they used to say Brownhill was 2 miles from town. I don't know if that is true. But we used to walk that in the mornings, walk it again in the afternoons. And in those days when there was very little in terms of transportation, I remember there was a white man called Bellot, used to have a little red pickup. And Bellot used to drive more slowly than most people would walk. So fellas would jump on, Bellot pickup, jump off, have a chat, run and jump back on again, and Bellot still ain't moved more than 100 yards. Bellot used to come up the road with all 20, 30 fellas on the back of his pickup. But those were the days, and I recall, for example, that sometimes it's raining, and we had some neighbors there. Our deputy governor general, we had Christine Springett, was the principal of the CSS, and sometimes they would stop and give us a lift, and that meant the world to me. It may seem now to people to be something so simple and almost irrelevant, but it meant the world to me. And those small acts of kindness from people, teachers who took an extra interest in you, when you were there and somebody took an interest. I went to school with a scholarship from Social Security, for example. I've always been grateful. So I think if your perspective is shaped by the fact that you were helped to where you are by others, then you are far more equipped to help others as well. And as I said, to pay it forward. I don't see, and I think that is an important aspect to leadership, that my colleague's shining is taken away from my shine. To the contrary, I think it contributes. When I go out with Alexis Jeffers and I see the revolution, and that's the word I use, the revolution in agriculture that has happened in this country, the revolution in housing that has happened here in Nevis. Go down to Indian Castle, see that orchard that he has created down there with the help of talented individuals such as Banky. Right? Look around Nevis, see what is happening. Look at the roads, the improvement in infrastructure that we have seen. Notwithstanding the naysayers, everything. They see 100 windows in a building, one is broken, they do a video of the one, and they say, oh, look how bad things are in Nevis. You recall in some elections past, they were going over to the dump, taking videos in the dump, suggesting that this is Nevis, this is a standard, when it is not so. Eric, I'm telling you, say you're proud of me because I'm from humble beginnings. All of us are from humble beginnings. But when I sat and I looked at you on the stage in Glasgow in Scotland, the same stage that Biden was on, and the same stage that Trudeau was on, and all the world leaders, Boris Johnson and everybody else, Mia Mottley, and you were right there speaking on behalf of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I said, watch this boy from Henley Park. Watch this boy who bought on a sheriff. Because that is what we must do, and it is done with not in an arrogant and boastful way. It is done with humility, because we recognize that we are representing people, and it is an awesome responsibility and privilege to represent people. And that is why I'm touched by what you both have said. But Eric, when you said that before God and man our hands are clean,
of course,
I'm telling you, they have tried so many things, said so many things, but before God and man our hands are clean, and the performance speaks for itself. And so I want to thank you all for allowing me the privilege of leading this team at this point in our history, and to thank you all, because when I say to people that I feel good going down to Bastille, because I don't have to look behind my back, I look to my left, I look to my right, we're standing shoulder to shoulder, resolute in our defense of Nevis. And while I'm talking about good news, we got some job numbers today, and I feel fairly good about the progress. The job numbers in Nevis are compared last year to this year. Number of employees in Nevis has increased by 3.5% over last year. The jobs have increased. Okay, let me do a comparison so that people understand. In Nevis, according to Social Security, as of April 2022, the number of employees in Nevis increased by 3.5% per month. In St. Kitts, the number of employees declined over the same period by 0.1%. So Nevis has an increase of 3.5%, Sinkis has a decline of 0.1% in terms of jobs per month. The jobs increased in Nevis in 2022 by some 5.9%. So, sorry. The number of employees is the first statistic. It increased in Nevis by 3.5%, and in Sinkis it declined by 0.1%. The number of jobs in Nevis increased now by 5.9%. In Sinkis it increased by 0.5%. The gross monthly wages in Nevis increased by 12%. In Sinkis the gross monthly wages increased by 4.4%. And then the gross monthly wages per employee increased in Nevis by 8.1%. In Sinkis that same gross monthly wages per employee increased by 4.5%. And then in Nevis the gross monthly wages per job increased by 5.7%. In Sinkis it increased by 3.9%. Now the statistics tell us that we are recovering and that our management of the economy, because job creation is a critical part of that is bearing fruit. And the reason I want to emphasize it, because I find it interesting that without our fair share, with all the resources being hogged over in Sinkits by Timothy Harris, his growth of number of employees is negative. That means the number of employees has dropped in Sinkits. Ours is up at 3.5%. In every category that Social Security measures, wages, jobs, employees, wages per employee, gross monthly wages, Nevis is performing better. And I think that speaks, because going back to the whole issue when they start to talk about Nevis and somehow there's a lack of performance in Nevis and we can't manage. Look at our management. Gentlemen, I credit both of you and the other members of cabinet because you willingly took a pay cut during COVID. For some period during COVID you said, listen, we will take a pay cut. We will have our allowances during COVID. And I was able to, for 20 months, took no remuneration, no allowances, no salary as Premier of Nevis for 20 months. And it's not that we don't need our money because we have bills to pay too, but we thought that we would do that so that the people of Nevis would recognize that we are standing with them. And in good times we celebrate, in bad times we all need to tie our belt. And we did that, and I think people appreciated that. That is the kind of leadership. So while you all tell me that I am doing a good job as leader, you all have been exceptional, because all these ideas in agriculture, in housing, in healthcare, in infrastructure, in the environment, in the economy, all of them are discussed in our cabinet. We don't hide anything in the cabinet. And you all know that people come to the cabinet, we share our views. Sometimes I come there, I think I have a good idea. By the time you all finish with me, I say, boy, let me go sit down. Right? And all of you come with different things at different times, and we discuss, we refine, we make it better. When we designed, for example, during COVID, gentlemen, you all know how tense things were. No money coming in. Hotels are closed, borders are closed.
Taxes are down.
Taxes down, taxes we couldn't find. Remember, we had to give relief on taxes, free water, electricity relief. And we still had to sit down and say, what do we do?
Of course.
We came up with a movie industry. I remember when we sat down and we asked the question, what if the port of Miami closes?
That's right.
What we going to eat? And Alexis was charged with going out there and doubling up in terms of agriculture. And look at where we are now.
And he did it.
Look at where we are now. Free feed for our animal farmers, free fish pot wire to our fishermen, free seeds, seedlings, fertilizer, free plowing, free fencing wire.
Yes.
All of that we did to instill that, and we offered it. I mean, I had somebody from the region call me and say they were looking at it with interest because we extended those same concessions to the backyard farm as well. We said everybody grow something. And now that you're seeing a rise in food prices globally, you see the value in that type of thinking. That is forward thinking. You know, I went 2-3 days ago to a graduation ceremony down at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. Another success story for this government. What we've been able to produce there, working in collaboration with our friends from Taiwan. And when I went, you know what it was a graduation for? Some 17 students who had passed the exams at 2 stages of Mandarin. That's the Chinese language. And I felt so proud when a little girl from Bad Village, young Miss Thompson, stood up and sang the Taiwanese national anthem. And when I looked at the ambassador sitting there and the enthusiasm with which he clapped, I don't understand what the child is singing. I don't speak Mandarin. But when I looked at him, he told me it was perfect. And when 2 youngsters came up and they gave a speech in English and in Mandarin, and when the ambassador went up, the ambassador said he was almost moved to tears because he had never heard his language spoken so beautifully by people who were not from there. And you know how proud I felt, because the PSA education, Mr. Barrett, reminded the audience something that I had forgotten about, you know, because I stood up and I thanked everybody and all of that. He reminded the audience that I came to him when I became premier and tell him I want Mandarin in the schools. And I then went to Taiwan and spoke to Taiwan, and Taiwan sent a Mandarin teacher here, Miss Chen. In the heart of the pandemic, she came in 2020. And it is a result 2 years later of her efforts that we now see these children. That to me is the type of policy, because Mandarin is spoken by over 1 billion people in the world. Some 11+% of the global population speaks Mandarin. Do you know how much trade we do with China?
Right.
Imagine these youngsters now going off to study in Taiwan, knowing Mandarin. They don't have to spend a year to learn it anymore, because as they learn, they're good to go. These are the kind of policies that we have put in place in this government.
I think you're missing something, Brantley.
Well, you remind me.
That young lady could very well be an ambassador of the Federation, stationed in Taiwan.
Well, of course.
Yeah, that would be so pleasing to see that in the years to come. And that is the value of what you would have initiated then. Yeah? We talk about accomplishments by this government, and the other side seem to highlight all the negative, the little things that are not necessarily important to the discourse. But it is important for us as a team to highlight our accomplishment. And we're not blowing our own trumpets, but sometimes you have to remind people that we have done an excellent job in difficult times as an administration. I have said before, no leader have had to deal with a pandemic ever here on the island of Nevis. No administration have ever had to deal with a pandemic such as this. And through it all, we would have gone through some difficult times, yes. But those numbers that you just highlighted, those numbers are positive indicators to suggest to me that we are heading in the right direction. You see what is emblazoned on our left breast here? Increase the momentum. These numbers suggest to me that we are heading in a direction where the momentum is being increased in this island. And some may say they don't have a job today, but I would say to all those out there who are not working, there are jobs out there. It may not be the job that you want to do at the time, but there is a job out there for someone and everyone. But if you can just go ahead and work in a particular job for now, at some point you will be able to transition into what you want to do and what you want to get done in your life. So I want persons to continue to think positive, and that is how we have been thinking as a government. We have seen challenges, faced challenges, but that hasn't dissuaded us in any way. I want to say that you have given me some praises in agriculture, and that is true. There's much more that we can accomplish in agriculture. I want persons, not because we are in a pandemic and we ask you to grow something in your backyard. When things come, get a little better sometime in the future and you have more money, you tell yourself you're done with that and go on to spend your money in the supermarket. I want persons to continue to plant. And if you plant something today, if you plant something tomorrow, it doesn't mean that you'll be the one to reap the harvest. It means that you're planting, for example, a mango tree. You may not be able to eat from that in a year or two, but I'm telling you, someone will be the beneficiary down the road, because we're eating a lot of Amrapali these days. We didn't plant some of these trees, but someone before us would have done so. And that is why it's important for us to plant, like I said. And I want to commend all of our farmers who actually would have bought into the thinking and the policies that we would have put in place to ensure that we have this increased cultivation and production. We want to also implore them, our farmers that is, to look at your pricing and make sure that you're making it manageable for those who are at the bottom level of our social structure here on the island. Make sure they can eat. Make sure all of us can eat. Pricing is important. If we are providing incentives, then it must translate into some good prices for all citizens.
Well, I was particularly impressed about the coconut plantation as well, because I think you said you planted over 4,500 coconut palms, and with the coconut water now being one of the most popular things,
Yes.
I think that too augurs well. But again, it shows foresight, because could you imagine in 4 years, 5 years, by the next term, that those coconut trees are bearing, and then we cut down now on the need to import coconuts from St. Vincent and places such as that. Gentlemen, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, as you're talking about coconut trees, I gave you some simple maths some time ago, and I want to repeat it. That there's monies to be made in from coconut water. Yeah? If we have, for example, I'm just going to use one simple calculation for you. 2,000 coconut trees producing $1,000 worth of jelly water per month. That's $2 million. As simple as it sounds. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen every month or every year, but at least you understand that it can be big business going into the future. And we know there are times when the value of any product would increase. And as the value increase, sometimes you add a little more to it. So it means that if it's $10 per bottle now, who knows what would it would be in 5 years' time. It will be more. So persons can go ahead and plant 4 or 5 trees in their backyard as well. Of course. And in a couple of years' time, you'll be the beneficiary of some revenue that you can generate from your own backyard. So plant something. That is what we want to impart to our people.
Gentlemen, we've been talking about what we have been able to do, the camaraderie, the leadership of all of us and the team, because this is about the team. Teamwork makes the dream work. I think that's what I was trying to remember earlier. And we have some concrete plans. I've spoken about these social programs, Peace, PEP, STEP, PAP, that we want and commit to having those versions of those programs, improved programs for the benefit of Nivisions, done by Nivisions for Nivisions. We're talking about that South Coast Highway, which, Eric, I know you're excited about, because it will open up all the lands along the south coast of Nevis, going from Long Point all the way to Gingerland. That's important. We've talked about food security and getting the broiler industry going, chicken industry going here in Nevis, and we have so many young farmers already excited about it. These are far-reaching plans. So. We're talking about the 6th farm, to separate it from the CSS and to create our own college of further education here in Nevis, so that our children could have access to a state-of-the-art facility here. We're talking about the hospital.
Yes.
I am very proud that we are going to have a 128 slice brand new Philips CT scan that will be installed at our hospital, we hope, by the middle of August. One of the best in the region. Absolutely. In fact, only Grenada has installed one, I think, 3 months ago. Right? This will be the second. So there are considerable improvements. We've just authorized the purchase of a state-of-the-art mammogram machine, because we want to be able to test women and make sure that women are not suffering from breast cancer, and if they are, to detect it early, because we're about saving lives, whether it's prostate, breast cancer, or whatever it may be. The days of us having to go to St. Kitts for a scan, those days we're seeking to put behind us by investing and ensuring that we partner with people. So it's a government that's continually thinking, and the job numbers are encouraging, because it says on the economy we are also working our way out of the pandemic and trying to create jobs for our young people. We pioneered this $5 million entrepreneurship fund. People forget sometimes that during the height of the pandemic, we put $5 million there working with the Taiwanese for women and youth. And a lot of small business people have gotten a start because of that seed money. So we have done so much, and yet there is so much more to be done. We want to, of course, to put a stadium at the Mondo Track facility. We want to develop the ETW Park. And we want to finally get renewable energy, geothermal energy, so that we could get an ease on that fuel surcharge. And I have commented at the unfairness that our brothers and sisters in Sinkage do not have to pay a fuel surcharge because it's subsidized from the same CBI money. But here in Nevis, our people have had to bear the brunt of it. I am happy to report that the Cabinet has taken a decision in Nevis that we will supply Nevlec with some additional resources to at least cap the fuel surcharge. I think they said they'll cap it at 65 cents, I believe it was said. But I'll have those details from my press conference. But we are still working even with the limited resources we have. And you have to wonder, if Nevis really was getting its fair share, what could we have done? Because we created a movie industry in Nevis out of nothing, And when the fellas in Sinkage saw it and saw it was good, what they tried to do? Go behind our backs to try and steal it away from Nevis. But thank God it's still here. They start their 7th film shortly. 7th film. And I say I was so proud when my dear friend contacted me from Atlanta to say that her sister and niece were on a flight from Atlanta to Vegas and they watched A Week in Paradise filmed in Nevis. On the plane, you could imagine the kind of promotion that is. The millions of passengers that are flying Delta Airlines across the globe and seeing a film produced in Nevis. Oh my God, they want to go and visit this place. And that is the value of what this government has been able to do. Revolutionize so many aspects of what we do to the point now where a lot of people take it for granted.
Of course.
When people see a brand new road now, it's no longer anything to talk about. When they see street lights all across the island, as simple as that may sound. There was a point on this island where people couldn't even get a street light. Now we've not only put street lights all across the island, but there are energy saving bulbs that have been distributed throughout. The Mondo track, when our children used to run on dirt up at the ETW park, barefoot, now they're on the Mondo track, and that Mondo track has paid dividends when we see CPS went down to Singits and won the first ever Rams relay competition. And 4 teams went in from Nevis and all 4 placed in the top 10. Incredible. This is the level of investment that we're talking about and that we have seen. But gentlemen, we're talking all night. We have another monster jam. It is 1:15 and we have another big CCM song. We have about, how many? About 7 or 8 we have, no?
It's a lot.
7 or 8 we have. And we just were waiting for the bell to ring. Now the bell has rung. We have the song queued up. Let's hear the song. This one is from Hashim the Dream. And it is another campaign monster jam for the Concerned Citizens Movement.
Focus, move it with purpose. To the future we face it. Our fair share we take it. Leave this one surplus. A party to serve us. A new era in the making. No underestimated. Unity is what we need to push the thing forward. The people who lead got the next game and leave us to last up. But we got the dream and not the blue team and they going all out. To make sure we see the vitalities. Come looking out for them again. We stand up for Nevis. People stand up for Nevis. Momentum going up. Our fair share we landed. With CC and we know we stand up for Nevis. My people stand up for Nevis. CCM stand up for Nevis. We do it again. Come let me see the vitalities. This is actually the dream on federal election day. Stand up for Nevis as I vote for the entire CCM party for United Saints and Nevis.
Short and sweet.
That's the man Hashim the Dream. Stand up for Nevis.
That's what we're doing.
And we're dropping that one. Madam DJ, you have to have that big song queued up again, because, the people are calling me, asking me for it. Gentlemen.
I think before these elections, but these elections are done, we need to have a competition on social media where persons can rate the songs. Well, vote to say which is the best.
Yes.
I believe the first one we heard might very well be. Well, we'll put that aside.
Well, it's jumpy. It's jumpy. But you remember, the public hasn't heard all yet.
Well, that's right.
But we'll be releasing them.
King has one.
They said that release one last night as well.
They said that has released. We have King Bingy. Increase the momentum.
Yeah.
And we have a few more that are coming. We will be releasing them. We even have a reggae tune done by a young man here that we're going to drop soon as well. Right? So it is a fascinating time. Gentlemen, we have about 10 minutes left. We haven't opened the lines at all. I believe, could we open the lines and see if anybody's still with us and may want to say something? We're just having so much fun and putting information on the table, speaking about our accomplishments, but also about the future. Somebody just messaged me to tell me we need also to speak about the future. I said, well, that's what we've been doing as well. We've set out our plans. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Michelle.
Good evening, my dear. How are you?
Good evening to the honorables with you.
Good evening.
Yes.
Good evening. Psalm 55, verse 9 and 10. Destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues, for I have seen violence and strife in the city over there in St. Kitts. Day and night they go about it, upon the walls they of mischief also, and so are the midst of it. Sympathy is going out to all who lose their loved ones. May God continue to bless all of us, and have a good evening. Good night.
Thank you so much, and thank you always for beautiful scripture of your choosing. It is about 11 minutes to. We have some time to take a call or two, 869-469-1616. We know that our voters overseas, our brothers and sisters, are preparing to come home. Many are here already. They've come in for Culturama. Many are coming for culture and will stay to vote. This is their country. They have that right, and we'll take in their calls. Good evening. You're on the mark. Okay, we've lost that caller. Callers, please bear with us. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Let's try again. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening. How's everything going?
Everything is going great. How are you doing?
I am wonderful, and I'm loving the music.
Of course. We are
so, Honorable Alexis Jackman, just want to tell you, thank you. Thank you so much for uplifting the standard of the agricultural sector. Honorable Eric Evelyn, thank you so much for making sure our cultural existence stays alive and lively.
Thank you.
And I must say, Honorable Mark Brantley and the CCM government, thank you all so much for being great leaders, because we as a positive crowd will definitely follow you all. The insight of everything just shows the qualities of true leadership. And when it's all over, we're going to say we did it. 9, 10, and 11, you are qualified for the job. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you so much. Very well said. Have a good night.
Thank you. I love it. Somebody just messaged me and said, listen, we need to reiterate our commitment to our youth, because, of course, we've made it plain that loans at Development Bank for education cannot be more than 5%. And even though some people are still paying 9 and 11%, they too must be reduced to 5%. That economic cost for our students going to UE has to be restored to them so that they can get that relief as well, because they were stripped of that privilege sometime, and that needs to be restored. So let us look to our youth and look to our future, to training, to rolling out our TVET schemes, both the one in Gingerland that was already constructed and the one to be constructed in Charlestown. Let's take this call. Good evening. Okay, that caller has gone. We just, gentlemen, have about 8 minutes left. Okay, let's take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Could you take a few minutes? Hello? Hello?
Good night.
Yes, you're on the air.
What's up, Mr. Marvali?
Yes, you are on the air. Go ahead.
What you doing about this fuel surcharge that St. Kitts is not paying it?
Yes.
St. Kitts is not paying it.
Well, I just...
So we need this have to be paying it.
Well, we need this have to be paying it because we don't have access to the citizenship. We are paying it because we do not have access to the citizenship by investment money.
St. Kitts is not paying it. So
well, caller, you asked me a question, but you're not listening to the answer. You listen? Okay. I said St. Kitts is not paying it because the government over there is paying it from the citizenship by investment money. That is the same money that Nevis is being denied. So we don't have that privilege over here. Notwithstanding, the cabinet over here has taken a decision that we will provide some resources to NEVLEC so that we will cap the fuel surcharge. But we cannot remove it in Nevis because we do not have the money.
But it's killing us, man. It's too much, man.
Well, as I said, I understand that. We don't produce oil here. We're still generating electricity from diesel.
Suffering over here, Mr. Marvali.
All right. Okay. All right, my brother. Thank you very much.
All right, cool.
All right. We appreciate the suffering, and we have explained why, and we've explained what it is we're seeking to do. Let's take this other call. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the mark.
I'd like to say a word to Mr. Jeffers.
You have to do so quickly, please, because we're running out of time.
Okay, Mr. Jeffers, can you pass by to see me? I'd like to see you, please.
Who's me? Who's me? Who are you?
Mount Lily.
Mount Lily.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enough, yes,
thank you very much. Well, all right, gentlemen, could you give a quick wrap, because I want to go out with our road march. So could you give a quick wrap?
Well, a quick wrap would be this. This has been a show of a difference tonight. I enjoy being here, Premier Brantley. And, of course, I want to say to the Univision public that even though we are going into Culturam, I want us to all be cognizant of the fact that we have an election coming on the 5th of August. And it therefore means that we have to get ourselves ready. Those of you who have always been reluctant to vote in a federal election, I want to say to you that this is an important, a very important election. One of the most important, I will say, in recent years or recent times. It is so critical that whatever happens in this election can certainly determine the future of the island of Nevis and the Federation on a whole. So I want us all to take it seriously. I want us to go out and vote. Take your brother with you. Take your sister. Take your mom, your grandma, whoever it is. Make sure when you're going to the polls on the 5th of August, don't go by yourself. Take someone with you and make sure they're going there to vote for the Concerned Citizens Movement, because it is the only party that is talking about fair share in these elections. It is the only party that has been championing the cause of the people of Nevis. And once we get that mandate, we'll continue that fight in Bastia. I say fight, but we'll continue to do what is necessary to make sure that Nevis realizes its fair share out of the CBI proceeds.
Very, very quickly, I'm going to put on first the cap of the President of the Empire Sports Club, inviting you to the Empire Sports Club Aquatic Extravaganza on Saturday the 23rd at the waterfront in Charlestown. Put on the hat as the Minister of Culture. Come on out and enjoy Culturama 48. Participate. Let's continue to make it great. And I'm going to put on the hat now as the representative, your candidate for Nevis 10 in the upcoming federal elections on August the 5th. We're asking you to vote for all three of us, 9, 10 and 11. Mark, myself and Alexis. We are the A-team. We are the dream team. We will continue to represent you with quality in Bastia at the federal level. Thank you, Mark, for having us. It has been a wonderful evening.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We hope to be able to come back at least once before polling day. We have nominations to think about, and then we hope that when the Saints go marching in, we will be in that number in Church Street. I look forward to a massive holiday. The election is on the Friday, so we have to go into holiday the Monday. That will be my recommendation. We have the song. We have 5 minutes, and the song is 6 minutes long.
The road march.
So let's play the road march as we go out tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. right here on the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, VON Radio. For those already traveling in for Culturama, we're saying come for culture, stay to vote, and help us make August 5th Freedom Day.
With the big blue machine, I see next side, are you the giant?
views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited.